Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom, the walking, talking encyclopedia. SVADHISTHAN Chakra, the second sex endocrine gland. My mission, the impeccable wisdom, knowing which everything is fully known. My greatest discovery, Devyank, the divine design of nature, with which the perfect objects are designed and created. Devyank is a reward of 60 years of integrated education. Impeccable wisdom is enlightening, and integrated knowledge is empowering. Swadhisthana or Swadhisthana Chakra is the second center of consciousness within the body, and according to Satchakra Nirupana, which is ancient Indian wisdom, and Serpent Find by Avalon is one of the best books I have seen. And this particular picture of Swadhisthana Chakra is taken from that picture which is almost 100 years old. An authority on this. Now, let's understand this particular picture very clearly. First, let me tell you what Swadhisthana means. Swadhi means self, Sthan means place. That means this is the center of consciousness of an individual which primarily centers around the self. What it means, we will understand it as we proceed further. All the chakras or centers of consciousness have Bij mantras or the seed mantras. Muladhara chakra, the Bij mantra or seed mantra is Lam. And you can see La in that, Lam in that. In this particular chakra, what is written is the Vam. So the seed mantra is Vam. Swadhisthana, seed mantra Vam, and Vam is centers around Vama mark or Dakshin mark. It has something to center around sexual reproduction, procreation, and endocrine glands and autonomic nervous system associated with the reproductive system. From that angle, Vam means Vama mark, Dakshin mark of evolution. Symbol in this particular chakra is a crescent. You can see the crescent down, which represents moon also water element, and the number of petals in this particular center are 6. You can see 6 red petals outside. You can see that the line which comes from up and goes down to Muladhara Chakra, what we have seen in the last slide. The element for this is water. Vehicle in this particular center of consciousness is called Makara or the crocodile. And crocodile is definitely the king of ocean or water, and very, very powerful, and its characteristic quality is definitely centered around the power, and that too particularly reproductive power. So, choice of Makra, the crocodile, as a vehicle for this particular center in water and talking about ocean speaks volumes about spiritual experiences of ancient Indian sages who describe these 6 chakras or Satchakra Nirupana so beautifully. Now, Sushumna Nadi, the vertebral canal, is also surrounded it. That's what it talks about, Satchakra Nirupana. Presiding deity is Lord Vishnu and is represented with conch in this particular picture. Presiding goddess is Devi Rakni, and that is shown with 2 heads. So, presiding deity is Lord Vishnu, and goddess is Rakni too, with 2 heads also means that is the center of second center of consciousness. So, this is very descriptive part of Satchakra Nirupana, and also they say this produces Ojas or Medha, and that transmutation of that into higher consciousness is also something spoken about in this particular center in Satchakra Nirupana. That means there is Ojas are the reproductive hormones have got something to do with spiritual evolution. Now, having understood the ancient Indian wisdom in symbolic representative, now let's see whether I can convert that into a graphic presentation, whether using animate form of human beings, animals, or otherwise. I've been trying to translate all the chakras, all the symbols of ancient Indian wisdom from animate form of using gods, goddesses, and animals and plants into inanimate in a mathematical design based on geometry. Now, right on top you can see SVADHISTHANA chakra, which I have also shown in front page, front slide, covering slide. One is the ancient, one is my representation or transformation of that into this. Now let me explain little more than what has been seen in that particular picture, or what is seen in that picture, how it can be understood or explained in this particular picture. Now let's talk of SVADHISTHANA, as I told you, the center of the self, the consciousness of every human being. Kundalini goes to sleep in Mooladhara. When he wakes up, comes to SVADHISTHANA, and that is own center. That means somewhere alive. To be very alert, attentive, reproductive hormone must be playing very important role, or they should be activated. So from that angle, I think I can totally understand that SVADHISTHANA means self. It is a reproductive system. Reproductive hormones are very, very vital for awareness and spiritual evolution. Now, outside I have shown 10 triangles projecting out. What do they represent in this particular thing is this center is closely associated with sacrum bone, and sacrum bone has got 5 vertebrae, and from 5 vertebrae 10 spinal nerves arise. So those 10 triangles moving out represent 10 spinal nerves arising from sacrum, spinal cord, from vertebrae of sacrum region, which are 5, segments are 5, nerves are 10. So I'm sure you can understand what they represent in this particular picture. Now, there are 2 triangles, one going up, one down, and then they have 6 corners, 6 planets. What do they represent? Devi Rakni, the second goddess, which is represented in the form of 2 triangles with 6 heads. So I think that also makes sense. Rakni has also been presented. Blue crescent down represent Lord Vishnu, because Lord Vishnu is always blue in color, not white or black. Now, every center of consciousness, the chakra, is also associated with one of the 9-10 planets of our solar system. Mooladhara chakra is represented with earth element. Planet involved in SVADHISTHANA chakra is Venus. Is it surprise? The Venus has got orange color, and orange color is represent particular chakra. Mooladhara chakra is color is red, which is the first visible part of the visible spectrum. Vivgyar. Red, orange, yellow, then you have green, then blue, violet, ultraviolet. So Vivgyar is, in this particular, is orange is the second one. Earth has been shown as red color. This is orange. And Venus has an orange color when you look at it. And number of lotus petals are 6, which I have already described. Outer vehicle or white circle around this 2 triangles represent ojas, or reproductive hormones, which create a beautiful aura around and makes the journey of spiritual evolution more powerful. And ojas is nothing but sex hormones like testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, and the combination. Even male testosterone gives ojas, but it gets converted into estrogen or estradiol, and that is called tejas. Similarly, in female, estrogen and progesterone hormones finally get converted into estradiol, and that is ojas into tejas. And that is responsible for the aura around the body and within that. Now, crocodile is again represented with crescent, you can water element, and that is also you can say you can. The inner orange circle, I am talking about Vahani Nadi. Now I am introducing another element here. We have already seen Ida, Pingla are two which represent paravertebral chain of sympathetic nervous system, and Sushmana Nadi in the center represents vertebral column. And vertebral column houses spinal cord, and spinal cord's description has also been beautifully explained in Satchakra Nirupana. Within Sushmana Nadi, you have Vani Nadi. So, Vani Nadi is within Sushmana Nadi, and in this particular thing, I have shown as an orange circle around as a Vani Nadi. And that actually in physical form represents subdural space surrounding the spinal cord, which is full of CSF, cerebrospinal fluid, and ojas has to get into Vani Nadi to rise up and produce what is called, looks like mace of Lord Hanuman. That means brahmacharya or the ojas into tejas has a lot of important role to play in this particular consciousness. Now let's go to the next to understand little more details about this particular center. As I told you, Mooladhara is connected with Ganglia and empire and four nerves, two sympathetic chains going up and two going to lower legs are four petals we are talking about. SVADHISTHANA, as you can see here, is associated with inferior mesenteric ganglion, which is 3 from S2, S3, and S4 corresponding go to reproductive organs or organs of pelvic region, which are closely associated with lower part of gastrointestinal system, kidney, bladder, and male and female reproductive organs. So three nerves go to this. So sympathetic is one has been explained in this particular thing and associated with inferior mesenteric ganglion. You can see that ganglion which corresponds to Swadhisthana chakra and is responsible for apana prana or expulsion of all the things which is there. Now, white or yellow crescent water element shows this center primarily centers around water. So there no wonder ejaculation of sperms is white water, and then female menstrual flow is also watery, urine is also watery, and fecal matter also. They all associated with Swadhisthana chakras, apana, apana, prana. So sympathetic system plays an important role in this particular consciousness. More important than that, are countering that inferior mesenteric, you have three nerves arising from S2, S3, and S4 segment of the sacred spinal cord. They arise from lateral horns of S2, S3, S4. They come to form nerve origins, as you can see as the ganglion, which is corresponding to inferior mesenteric. Along with the sympathetic, they supply those five organs, as you can see, the rectum, kidney, bladder, male reproductive organs, and female reproductive. That way now you can see how Swadhisthana chakra actually centers around sacral parasympathetic system, and supported equally by inferior mesenteric ganglion from sympathetic system. And balance of autonomic nervous system, sympathetic and parasympathetic, is absolutely essential for making optimum use of Swadhisthana chakra for reproductive health, procreation, and healthy next generations. So from that, I think now we're reaching close to why Swadhisthana is associated with sacral parasympathetic plus inferior mesenteric. Now we are literally definitely bridging the gap between ancient Indian wisdom and modern sciences. In the process, the understanding of the modern neurosciences and the ancient Indian wisdom is also becoming much more scientific in approach, because most of the people who have been talking about Satchakra, Nirupanas, different things, they are using more of a philosophy, psychology to explain, not in the light of this. And modern science, whatever they have been talking about anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, and sciences of nerve energy, our reproductive organs, understanding is much more clearer from that. So bridging both together and representing in one comprehensive form is something which I really feel we should have done and we are able to do. As a result, we can make optimum use of our knowledge of ancient Indian wisdom in the light of modern sciences and use this knowledge of centers of consciousness, chakras, to lead a perfectly emotionally integrated life, physically healthy, and mentally powerful by understanding these concepts very, very clearly. Now, because of my understanding of Satchakra Nirupana, and of course Divyank, the Divyank ratio, Divyank sequence, I've been able to show the perfect human menstrual cycle for the first time in the history of mankind with the help of Divyank sequence. Normally, we talk of menstrual cycle of only 3 phases. Bleeding phase for 5 days, secretory phase or follicular proliferative phase for 8 days. Then you talk in terms of about say ovulation, and then release of ovum, expulsion, and then 13 days of secretory phase. But with the help of Divyank and Tantra Vidya, I am able to show actually there are not 3 phases, there are actually 6 phases. The first phase, 3 days, is before the bleeding phase, when cohort of 10 primary follicles originate, and that is the time when ovaries start producing estrogen and progesterone, whereas you start from anterior pituitary follicular stimulating hormone as well luteinizing hormones are released from there. At the same time, from hypothalamus, gonadotrophic releasing hormone is also released. So, because of this, I'm able to understand hypothalamus plays an important role in releasing gonadotrophic releasing hormone. Anterior pituitary helps in releasing follicular stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. And in females, ovaries start producing estrogen and progesterone. So, this is 3 days before that, and endometrial changes in the uterus also have been shown very clearly that 3 days before ovulation, basal layer of endometrium starts forming, which separates the functional layer, and as a result, blood supply to the functional layer of the older period gets disconnected. There is necrosis, which lead to bleeding in the next 5 days. So this additional thing I've been able to understand only because I understand Satchakra Nirupana and its functions, which are beautifully described in Satchakra Nirupana. As a result, with the help of Divyank ratio and sequence, I've been able to bring this. 5 days of bleeding is very clear, which everybody talks. Then 8 days of secondary follicular proliferation. This cohort of 10, out of that, one becomes dominant. And then how it starts developing under the influence of follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, as well as estrogen to start with. Progesterone does not come to play much of a role before ovulation. So that is something which also I could understand with the help of the viewing sequence better than what I have read from school, college to the university in all my 60, 70 years of life. But this I have been able to make it much more clear. The perfect follicular size could also be 21 millimeter, and then ovulation. Then secretory phase, instead of having 13 days, I have divided that into 8 plus 5. The first 8 days are designed to, after fertilization of the ovum with sperm, 8 days time is kept for development and implantation of zygotes into the endometrium. It should take 8 days. If it does not take place, then corpus luteum stops producing progesterone and estrogen, and you go to the stage of corpus albicans. And that is something, for that I have already described this in detail in procreation. Bringing here, understanding this is much better because Satchakra Nirupana rather than medical science, the research done. So that way, understanding ancient wisdom in the light of modern science and then filling up the gaps with this kind of thing is something which I have been very, very helpful in bringing forth for the first time in the history of mankind. This should be enlightening for everyone around the world. Okay, this is a perfect human menstrual cycle. Now let's spermatogenesis. Also, with the help of this, I've been able to understand there must be something much more than what we talk about it. One spermatogonium goes through 10 stages of spermatogenesis, which is again 10 stages of development, and same thing happens in oogenesis too. But what is interesting is one spermatogonium leads to the formation of 512. And what is the science behind it? 1 multiplied 10 times is 512. That means 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256 and 512. And it doesn't go beyond that. And there are only 10 stages. That is what over and over I'm saying. Ancient Indian wisdom or Vishnu's 10 incarnations made me answer there should be 10 mandatory stages everywhere. In spermatogenesis also we see it, oogenesis also say, everywhere I see that. Now I'm trying to show how beautifully everything is designed with something which is mathematically absolutely correct. So, understanding a SVADHISTHANA chakra, perfect female menstrual cycle, perfect spermatogenesis and procreation, and how Ojas plays an important role, how Ojas has to be converted to Tejas, is something which has definitely added more value to my spiritual science than I would have got without understanding, having the experience of Tantra Vidya, these chakras, and then. So I'm sure now we are bridging the gap together. Let's go to the. This is the last slide which I've been using again. Is again centered on Tantra Vidya. Ida and Pingala are the two which I can call represent left and right paravertebral sympathetic chains. And right in the middle, the green one is Sushmana Nadi. Right at the bottom, you can see Muladhara chakra, which is red in color, is associated with earth element. Second one is Swadhisthana chakra, which is associated with Venus, orange color, water element, and 6 petals. If Muladhara has got 4 petals, Swadhisthana got 6 petals. And from that, I think let's leave it at this particular juncture. Muladhara to this 2 centers. One is with earth element and this is with Venus. Even now we are going to see the association of different chakras with the 10 planets of our solar system itself. And what is interesting is the distance between Earth to Venus, Earth to Mercury, Earth to Sun, Earth to Mars, Earth to Jupiter, asteroid belt, and then Jupiter, Saturn, and other planets is also beautifully when divided with the distance between Sun and Earth of 115 million kilometers. You find a number which corresponds with number of petals of different chakras, and I'm also showing the number of petals are also associated with the neuroanatomy of the centers of consciousness. As I told you, Muladhara got 4, 2 paravertebral sympathetic chains going up and 2 going to the legs are 4 represented. And SVADHISTHANA, whether it's inferior mesenteric or S2, S3, S4, there are 6 nerves which are sacral parasympathetic, closely associated with superior mesenteric, which gives a sympathetic and parasympathetic. It's 6. And same thing you can see with the distance between Earth and Venus divided by that is also 6 only. Is it a coincidence or is it a divine plan? You're going to see a lot of such information appearing in these videos which is going to surprise you but is going to make your spiritual journey much better. Now, Svadhisthana produces testosterone, ojas, and according to Tantra, from this center is closely associated with Sushumna Nadi and then Vahini Nadi within Sushumna Nadi, and ojas can easily go into the subdural space or Vahini Nadi and spread all over the central nervous system. And the picture it can create, as you can see in this particular picture, the center resembles the mace of Lord Hanuman. Because he is a brahmachari, he is able to control reproductive hormones, make them abundant, but translate or transmute ojas into tejas and create a golden aura around. And mace represents ojas into tejas and they represent Vahini Nadi. Is it surprise? Or this particular knowledge really makes me feel it has been worth experiencing the beauty of Tantra Vidya and explaining things in the light of modern science. We are bridging. As a result, we can have a perfectly integrated reproductive health because of understanding of Svadhisthana chakra. So from that angle, I think it's been a beautiful sharing my experience, my understanding about the second center of consciousness called Svadhisthana chakra, which is associated with second set of endocrine glands, which are reproductive glands. First are those scattered in pubic region, which are responsible for smell, and this is second with the reproductive organ for procreation. I think I would definitely like everybody to understand and then try to experience that within and take care of your emotional health, physical health, mental health, as well as reproductive health. So thank you very much for kind listening.